the better question would be, would you be in favor of trade with rules or trade without rules that we commonly agree? Because free trade is sometimes misleading. Free trade agreement means that you are negotiating the common rules which qualify then for your goods. So I'm in favor of negotiating and having the rules that both sides, both the client and the customer, and as well the one purchasing and selling something, that they agree on the terms and that both are happy with that. And that is what free trade exactly means. So I'm in favor of that, because this gives us a certain security for the purchase and as well for the delivery of the goods. So it is for our economy very vital that we get the goods at a reasonable price, and as well that our companies can sell without major trade barriers. And that's exactly the term of a free trade agreement. We take down the unnecessary barriers so that our both economies can really win out of such a situation.
Free trade is a system of international trade based on the absence of customs barriers to the circulation of goods and services. This framework has been set since the end of the Second World War by the GATT and then by the World Trade Organization. However, most countries still practice some form of protectionism by applying measures such as quotas, export subsidies, technical or sanitary standards, or measures favoring national companies. A free trade agreement or a free trade treaty is a multilateral agreement between two or more states to promote international trade, usually by lowering tariffs and removing domestic regulations that may impede the import of foreign goods, services, labor, and capital. Historically, free trade has allowed developed countries to strengthen their dominance over lower income countries. More than that, free trade agreements sell out public services, consumer protection, environmental standards, and indeed our democracies. With free trade agreements like TAFTA or CETA, trade rights take precedence over health, consumer, and environmental protection. More globally, free trade agreements allow bilateral trade agreements to be turned into a weapon of deterrence to lower social, environmental, or labor standards. This was the case, for example, in Europe with the attempt to ratify TAFTA. These treaties are the targets of numerous challenges, particularly with regard to the settlement of disputes, forcing the establishment of arbitration tribunals that can condemn states to pay heavy compensation to private actors and to modify certain social and environmental standards to comply with the requirements of these treaties. The lack of transparency in the negotiation of such agreements has also been denounced or criticized. Globalization has led to a proliferation of free trade agreements on a worldwide level. Free trade mainly serves the interests of large economic groups and doesn't in any way tend towards social welfare. It creates unfair competition by placing national production in the face of unbridled competition. Free trade is at the root of many social and ecological problems, which is why we need to rethink new ways of doing international trade in parallel with a relocation of all or part of our economies. International trade must be better regulated, and we cannot continue to deregulate it in this way. On the contrary, major trade agreements should contain social and ecological protectionist measures, introduction of environmental and social criteria, tax system control and sanction mechanisms, for example. Their negotiation must be public and transparent. The logic behind free trade, which consists of manufacturing our products in Asia, selling them in Europe, and then processing the waste in Africa, must stop because it is absurd.